Let's see if this thing works. Oh, that's not what I'm trying to do. Hey y'all, so I'm trying to make sure that I'm live right now. Oh, I think I am. It says that 5 people are watching. So I'm trying to make. Oh, there we go. Hey y'all. Okay, so I'm trying to figure there. Now the comments are popping up. Hey y'all. I'm sorry that I'm late. Listen, can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me okay? Please let me know if y'all can hear me. Let me see. I think I heard myself. Yes. All right. So sorry that I'm late, y'all. I haven't been live on YouTube in so long that I thought that in the studio that is your back office, I guess you could say, I thought it was as easy as just clicking a dang on button, and obviously it's not. I had to go through this third party app. So welcome, y'all. Hey, y'all, it's so much that I want to tell y'all. And a couple of things are going to have to be elaborated on in like story time. But I wanted to start off giving a couple of life updates, and then I'm going to get through some of the questions that I already have based on some comments that were left on the community post that I made, as well as a couple of videos. And then I'll let y'all ask me any additional questions that y'all have. So welcome to the stream. I hope y'all missed me. Okay. So if y'all want me to do more lives, I can later in the future. First things first, life update. As y'all can see from the title, I did want to talk about the situation with my father. I've had a lot of people reaching out to me via comments on the 2 videos that I did about the situation, as well as in my inbox on Facebook, Instagram, everything. People have been asking me for updates. The first thing I want to say is, y'all, some people just don't know how to read between the lines, okay? There were people on that video telling me, you need to move out. You and your mom and sister, y'all need to go. That's his house. I mean, just people just all over the place. People just not being able to read between the lines. And there were certain things that I have left out of both of those videos talking about the situation between me and my father, because guess what? Certain parts are just not my story to tell. That's my mother's story to tell or my sister's story to tell. However, let me update you guys by saying I have not had to interact with them since August. Hallelujah. And I have seen him one time since August. And in that moment, I did not say hi, bye. There was no conversation. There was no nothing. The only thing that I did was have my best friend on FaceTime, screen recording, just in case something happened, for me to have whatever proof that I needed. I am much happier since I have not had to interact with him. My sister has not had to interact with him since August as well. My sister just had a birthday in December. He did not call her to say happy birthday. He did not tell her Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, no nothing. So it's one of those things where I take things a whole lot different than my sister and my mom do. I am the strong warrior. I'm the person that's going to have your back. I'll speak up for you if I have to. I have been way better mentally, emotionally, spiritually since I have not had to communicate with him. I am possibly planning to do a video in the future on like the effects of not having a good relationship with my father has, like the effects that it's had on my life, whether in regards to friendships, relationships, just anything, my personality, whatever, because I think that that's a good video to do. A lot of men just think that, no matter what age, whether you're young or you're older, I can just walk out and you'll just, you'll be just fine, or I can not do what I'm supposed to do and you'll be just fine. Did it hurt? Yes, regarding the circumstances that everything kind of surrounded everything, but overall, I feel a whole lot better. I've been doing way, way better. Another update, y'all. I just got new hire documents for a new job with a new agency. I will be doing a story time on my previous job as to why I no longer work there. y'all will be very interested in that conversation. And yeah, I think that's all the life updates that I want to do. Oh, one more thing. I have still been day trading. I've seen people ask me questions about that. I was in the process of actually trying to get vetted and work for a firm to where basically I would be an independent trader for a firm. I went through the process twice. The first time, my strategy just could not hold up in the current market situations that was going on. The second time, I shouldn't have started it when I did because Christmas, like the week of Christmas and the week of New Year's, the market is practically trash. It doesn't move. And so that kind of affected my results because I couldn't really trade my strategy during that time. So it actually was a blessing in disguise though, because the reality is I was going through a Forex firm and I would rather trade futures. So right now I'm looking into a futures firm so that I can get funded. And once I'm funded, then I basically will be able to, I think the firm that I'm looking at, I would have an 80-20 split. So basically whatever income that I earn from that funded account, I get to keep 80% of it. So that's coming up. It's a shame how these Black fathers act towards their Black daughters. I and my sister are going through this with my father now. It is sad. And I don't want to elaborate too much on it because this ain't what the whole live's supposed to be about. But it is very sad because I don't know if it's how Black men are raised or what, but they're just so narcissistic and everything just revolves around them. They don't want to listen to how what you do affects them. And I think that it does have to do with how they're brought up. But at some point in time, y'all, and I've said this in previous videos, at some point in time, your excuses become reasons. Okay? You too old to be using how you grew up as a reason to be a trash person. Okay, it's an excuse once you're 60 years old. However, like I said, I'm not going to dive too much into it, y'all. I have been so much better. I'm very passionate about it when I talk about it. So some people think that like I'm just dwelling on it or you're still mad about it. Like y'all, look, no sweat off my shoulders. I've been good. I promise y'all. My only goal is to make sure that whatever kids that I have in the future, whether I end up being with their father for the rest of my life or not, I at least give them a father that I don't have to worry about that father walking out on them at any point in time, especially when it's the father's fault as to why their children aren't messing with them. That man is literally going around town telling people, y'all, that, what did he say? That me and my sister, he didn't say abandon him. I forgot what he used, but it's like, bro, what? You caused all of this. Stop playing with me. Stop it. But anyway, let me start getting into the questions. And like I said, if you guys have any additional questions, let me know. You can go ahead and write it in the chat. So first things first, someone asked me what to approximately budget for monthly health insurance with as well as dental insurance as a travel nurse. Is there any suggestions for a range for that expense? Actually, when you're doing travel, you don't have to worry about like getting your insurance through a marketplace or anything. They have the same options that a regular employer has. So when I was on a travel assignment, I had regular insurance through that agency versus the insurance that I have now that I show basically in my budgets through the marketplace. Next, Ella Enchanted asks, what are your plans for retirement or what are your investments? Honestly, y'all, I should be planning for retirement right now. However, I can't say that I am fully. I do have different like investment accounts. I have an account that my mother and him did create for me when I was younger. They put money up in it up into a certain point and then it was handed over to me. I have not touched that money whatsoever. It's a lot of that money is like invested in mutual funds and stuff like that. So it doesn't really lose money very often, but the gains on it is very slow. I do have other investments as well. I haven't done an investment update in quite a while. I was doing the monthly, but for me, if I see that a certain monthly video or weekly video or whatever isn't gaining a lot of traction, I don't want to waste my time or yours. I want to put out content that you guys actually want to see. So I did stop doing the investment updates. However, if this app lets me log in, I can look at them and see. I think I did take a screenshot though recently. Okay, so as of January 27th, I do still have Apple stock. My Apple stock has gained 17% since I purchased them. I have 7 of them. I have 3 AMD stocks, and that has gained 55%. I have 10 JetBlue stocks. That's gained 98%. And I'm actually selling that stock. I bought it at $7.41. When it gets to $20, I'm going to sell all of those. I have 2 Microsoft stocks, and that's gained 28% since I purchased them. I have 1 TECL stock, and that's gained 208%. I don't know why I didn't buy more of that one. And then I have 1 VOO stock, which is basically the S&P, and that one has gained 32% since I've gotten it. I don't have enough money in that account for retirement per se, but that is something that I will continuously put money into for the future for, you know, retirement or whatever. The only reason I stopped putting money into that one is because I knew, honestly, y'all, I knew last summer that I would not last very far into 2021 with the job that I had, okay? And as of last Wednesday, I no longer work there, so that's that. You're my favorite YouTuber, my favorite person, KeAmber, and you're teaching me how to budget a lot. Thank you, Trey. How did you decide to get into stocks, and how do you know which ones are the best? I think I can actually put these on the, I can. So, Bobby, I actually used to be in a stock club, and I started the stock club, I think around February of last year, if I'm not mistaken. So in the stock club, basically, he would have, the guy who ran it, he would have these meetings, I guess, I think once a month or once a week. It was something, I don't know. I don't really like getting onto a whole bunch of lives all the time, especially when somebody's always going live on calls and stuff. Like, I'm a visual person, so if he did it this particular way, I could pay attention, but just conference calls, I'm not that type of person. So he would send out these stock picks or whatever, and that's how we went based off of his particular stock picks. He did have a portion where it was teaching us how to read different stocks, but there are a couple of courses that I am thinking about getting into. There's one in particular by a guy named Wall Street Trapper that I'm thinking about purchasing, as well as, what is the other lady? Let me see if I can find her. There's another lady where she has one where she teaches people how to pick stocks. And I think she even day trade stocks, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure. But if I do go ahead and move forward with those courses and I like them, I will absolutely tell you guys about it. I promise. Let me push that off of my screen. So yeah. Let's see. Next question. So this one is from Jaria, and I don't want to mess up your last name. How did you learn how to trade? I'm looking to learn, but have no idea where to start from. How much is needed to even start? So I honestly learned from Chart Time. A lot of what you're going to learn when you're trying to learn how to day trade is from Chart Time. You could take anybody's course. It does not matter whose course you take. You have to put in Chart Time yourself, because no strategy is going to be 100%. Losses will happen, period, point blank, no matter what. But sometimes when you put in that extra Chart Time, you can kind of have a little bit more discernment as far as, should I really get into this trade or not? I know the strategy says XYZ, but this is what I'm seeing on my screen. So you know what? I'm not going to take that trade. I personally tried to learn from a couple of people. I've paid for different courses, and thus far, the way that I trade at this moment, nothing of what I learned from anybody has anything to do with what's on my charts. So I can't really say for sure who I can tell you, like, who I learned from, because honestly, I learned the majority of everything from myself. There's this one futures book that I purchased. It doesn't have anything to do with how I trade, honestly. Really, YouTube. I can tell y'all, there's a chick that is one of my Facebook friends, and she recently learned how to trade for free on YouTube. So I will give you guys the people that she particularly said that she learned from for free. And she said, one guy is named Swaggy C. I actually did used to watch him on YouTube, but eventually I just stopped. Another YouTube is Project Millionaire Group. The third one says Mamba FX. The fourth one is Jeremy Cash Young CEO. And the fifth one is Trade and Get Paid. So those are YouTubes that you could possibly look up if you want to. I don't watch those particular people, but you can. You're welcome. KM Forward, second month using your method and planner, loving it. Also, did you get the issue with your planner resolved? Had people asking, and I sent them to your website. So far, I haven't. So these are my options. The first option, and my first option is honestly to just go through the bank, reverse the charges, send the planners back, because I'm going to tell you guys what ended up happening. Every single time that I've ordered planners from this company, except I think one time, my planners have always had an issue, okay? So here is my last planner from last year. It's 12 months, so I should have 12 tabs, right? One time, y'all, they sent me a box of planners that had 11 tabs. Why y'all giving me 11 tabs on a 12-month planner? There was another time where one of the planners had, I think, pages missing, because I sold the planner. You know, I don't actually literally go through all 170 pages of every single planner when I get the order. I kind of go through about 5 of them, make sure what's in there is supposed to be there, and I keep it moving. So she ended up having a faulty planner. She sent it back to the company on their dime. They fixed it and sent it back to her. The second to last batch that I purchased, what happened? I think, the tabs are supposed to have this, like, it's not laminate. I forget what they call it, but it's supposed to practically look laminated. It was not. And also, there was 1 or 2 recurring pages in each of the 12 months that was in color. So this particular time, I get the planner, and there's a lot of pixelation going on. So I'm like, listen, I need you guys to fix this. Well, this is not a problem on our side. The problem is because I sent them a new document, like a new PDF, because there was one particular page that I wanted to change, where instead of there being so many words, I wanted to replace them with blank lines so that that page wouldn't have so many things like that you scratching off because, I don't have this particular insurance, but I need to put something else here, so let me cross it off. So I took so many words out to put blank lines. Nothing else changed but that one page. So 12 out of the 170 pages changed. However, there were other pages in there where the lines were super pixelated, the words were super pixelated, and according to them, it's because the file type that I sent them, I guess the size of it is supposed to be a whole lot more or bigger of a size if it's at the quality it's supposed to be able to print them. However, y'all, the size of the file did not change in me changing that one little bit. So I sent you practically the same exact file with nothing changed except those 12 particular pages. But why are there lines that are pixelated? It makes no sense. So according to him, it's my fault because I didn't send the file the correct way, but I've always sent that file the same exact way. And my thing is every single order I've ever had from you, except one, has always been screwed up. So how come now they're still screwed up, but you're telling me now all of a sudden it's my fault, not yours? So for me, I'd rather reverse the charges with my bank and say, you know what, I did not get the product that I paid for because I did not. The other options that I have, there are a couple of local printing companies here, like literally around the corner from my house. I was thinking about going ahead and going to them and just saying, hey, here are my issues. This is the file. Can you guys fix these couple of pages that's recurring in each of the 12 months that are messed up? And then, just rebound them and then I can go ahead and sell them. I have not looked into that yet because it's so cold outside, y'all. I don't feel like leaving my house. I barely leave my house, okay? So that is another option. The other option is just for me to go ahead and sell the planners as is, $15 off, because I don't really make a lot. Let me tell y'all something. Physical products does not have a huge profit margin. So what little bit in profit that I make from the planners, I reinvest right back into the business. I don't spend, y'all, I haven't spent any money that's come through my LLC. I haven't spent any money that's come through there in at least 3 years. Okay, I don't touch that money. So I'm really contemplating not selling planners at all. But the other thing is, if I was to find a local company that could do it, I could at least say, hey, just print one, okay, with this batch. Let me come up there, sign off on it before you mass print it. So that's what it is at this point. That is what basically happens. And it's unfortunate because I just don't like when people try to get over, and they try to use the whole, well, we've been in business for 30 years and I don't give a damn how long you've been in business. What's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. And if your planners that you've been sending me has been wrong almost every time you sent them, what's the difference between this one? So yeah, that's where I'm at with that. MJ Spine, I think I was actually going to answer your question at some point. And sorry, KM, I forgot to put yours on the screen. I'm new to this little situation here. Do you invest? Yes, I do. I used to create the monthly investment update things. And what do I think of the whole GameStop debacle? I don't know a whole lot about it. However, I do know that GameStop shares went through the roof, as well as AMC. I actually had a friend, an Xbox friend, if y'all didn't know I'm a gamer, but I had my friend put in an order over this past weekend, and he sent me a screenshot and said, hey, what do you think about AMC, me buying it? And I said, dude, cancel that order before it actually gets filled on Monday. And I basically tried to explain to him, first of all, with the whole GameStop and AMC thing, a lot of what's happening in some of these stocks is literally just retail people being pissed off at hedge fund managers, and they are manipulating the market. You have to look at I would say a 5 or 10 year chart of something. If it's already been going this way, unless you get it dirt cheap, ain't no point. But I do know people who purchased it dirt cheap who were not able to sell it when it was at the highest that it was because of all of the manipulation that happened. So like with my friend, he wanted to purchase AMC, and I sent him the 5 year chart, and I don't know if I still have it. I don't think I did, but I do still have it. So this was the 5 year chart for AMC. As you guys can see from this side, it's been going down for years. The highest that it's been in 5 years was from 4 years ago, and the highest was $35. So if it's been on a downward trend, now if you purchased it when it was down here at like $2, sure, do what you do. But he was trying to purchase it at $13. You're already like a third of the way to where the highest it has ever been. Most of the time when it comes to stocks, you have to look at the performance of the company and research certain things. And the course that I told you guys with Wall Street Trapper, that's what he teaches you. He teaches you how to research companies, see what's the best companies out there, whatever. But I told him, I said, if AMC, first of all, the downward trend started happening 4 years ago because guess what? People started having streaming services. People started purchasing Fire Sticks at some point during that time and learning how to jailbreak them and watch movies for free. So AMC has already not been a high performing company because of the changes of the times. People are not going to movie theaters like that anymore. People are shooting up movie theaters, which is why a lot of people don't like to go. And a lot of people would rather watch movies from the comfort of their home, pop their own popcorn, not pay $3 for a bar of candy. Okay. You pay $12 for the ticket and then another $40 in snacks. So because of that, AMC already was not a good company for anybody to really invest in unless, like I said, you got it at $2. From there, it's like, okay, if I lose $2 per share, whatever it is, what it is. So I think that the whole GameStop thing, that's probably something that's going to happen again in the future. People get pissed off and they start manipulating the market, and that's just what it is, honestly. It happens. So hopefully that answered your question. Hey, Shan, yeah, you can ask questions. Absolutely. Let me see. Brittany, do you plan to do a video on how you came up with your $4,000 baseline and how you were able to build to get it there? I've actually answered this question in a couple of videos already. However, because it wasn't a specific video, I'll answer it here, and probably in the future, I'll go ahead and make a video. So how I came up with the $4,000 baseline, for those of you guys who don't realize, when I do my budget, I basically reconcile my account, whatever's in excess of my checking account of $4,000 at the end of the month, I send that off to savings, and that's what I start the baseline of my checking account for the following month. The way that I came up with that, back a couple of years ago, I used to be in a network marketing company that was very centered around financial education, okay? And at that time, one of my mentors, who's a multimillionaire, was teaching us kind of what we needed in order to succeed financially and set ourselves up for the future. So one of the things that he was saying was that, you know, you needed a mini emergency fund of $3,000, not $1,000, $3,000. And this was years ago that he said that before all of this stuff started happening, you know, with COVID and stuff, this is something he's always stood firm on, that $1,000 was not enough and $3,000 should be your mini emergency fund. The second thing he said was to have a true emergency fund of 6 months worth of your expenses. The third thing was for you to, what was it? Have $2,500 to $3,500 that you save up to start a traditional investment account. And I always forget what the fourth one is. I always forget. I did make a video on this. It's called like the 4 accounts that you need to be rich or whatever it is. I made it years ago. But anyway, so in me seeing him teach that over and over in these workshops and in these different events, finally I sat him off to the side and I was like, look, B, what am I supposed to do with my checking account? Like, how much am I supposed to have in my checking account at one time? Because I understand what I'm supposed to have in savings and investing and all of that stuff, but what am I supposed to have in my checking account? According to him, again, a multimillionaire, he said that you should keep 2 to 3 times your monthly expenses in your checking account at all times. Now, for me, I typically don't have a lot of monthly expenses as far as fixed expenses go. I have lived on my own a lot since I graduated high school at 16, y'all. I've lived on my own so much, and the majority of the time, except once, I was always in a different city, in a different state. However, the older I got, I'm like, okay, I'm getting older. I don't have children. I now believe my parents when they said that I was wasting money on rent, okay? Because I'm not a party person. I go to work, I come home. I was spending so much money on rent to literally be in my living room, the kitchen, and my bedroom, even though I had all these other rooms in my house. So what am I wasting money on rent for? And then the other thing of that is the older I get and I'm getting closer to wanting to settle down with somebody, it's very unlikely for the type of man that I want to move in with me. So if I'm setting myself up for the future, why would I go ahead and have my own place and all this other? It's no point for me to have it at this point, just for me to give that place up to move in with whoever I'm going to be with for the rest of my life. There's no purpose. So even though I don't have a whole lot of monthly expenses, I took it upon myself to say, okay, well, typically, if I am living on my own and I'm not in debt anymore, I would be able to live off of $2,000 a month for my fixed and my variable expenses. So let me just go ahead and make that $4,000. I could up it to $6,000. It doesn't matter, but $4,000 for me works for right now. At some point in the future, it might increase, especially when I have children. Maybe my monthly expenses will increase, but that's how I got it. As far as how I was able to build it, before I got out of debt, I was not reconciling my account down. Okay, I didn't believe in the whole, and I still don't like the whole every dollar budget and zero-based budgeting, the way that it's supposed to be done, not the way that everybody modifies it to look good on YouTube, the way that it was taught to be done. I don't really like that whole thing of every dollar having a name. And, people try to say, well, no, some of that named money could be towards savings. No, the way that it's supposed to be, you have $1,000 in savings and everything else goes. Okay. So what I used to do was the way that I budget, y'all see me do, I've always done. So at the end of the month, when I was still in debt, when I sent my money off for savings, whatever my allocation was, and I sent money off to debt, whatever my allocation was, at the end of the month, when I had, let's say it started out, let's say this was my very first month, and after doing, having income and all my expenses, let's say after everything, I only had $200 left of that money that I earned that month. After I spent money on fixed expenses, spent money on variable expenses, sent money off to savings and extra debt payments, I only had $200 left. What I would do is I would keep that $200 in my checking account. And then at the beginning of next month, my baseline is $200. And it didn't matter what the amount was. It didn't have to be an even amount. It was just $200. That's just my example this time. So every month, it's just continue to grow and grow and grow. Over that, how long did it take me to get out of debt? I don't even remember no more. But over that time, that's how I built that up. So you can do the same thing. Whatever you have left over at the end of the month, that's the baseline of your account until you get to your 2 to 3 times your monthly expenses. Once you get there, whatever is in excess, if you are still in debt, split it in half. Half of it goes to savings, half of it goes to extra debt payments. So hopefully that answers your question. Let's see. So Shan says, I have 30K in student loans and over $10,000 saved. Would you recommend someone keeping a lot of savings or putting it towards debt? Keep your savings. If it's one thing this pandemic did not teach y'all, me, and everybody else in this country, is that you have to have money saved. Like, seriously, think about how many people were sitting here with this $1,000 thing in their savings. And, you know, people try to say, well, he says have sinking funds. Sure, but your sinking funds is not supposed to have $10,000. I used to watch his show every day. I watched him tell somebody, you got $50,000 in savings and you $100,000 in debt. Take that $49,000 and put it towards your debt. Well, what happens if they lose their job the next day? Then what? Keep that money in your savings. Unless you have, like, if you have private loans, you probably can take a little bit of that. I wouldn't take a whole lot because you need your savings. Just rainy days happen. Okay, we can see that all last year. If you have private loans, you definitely want to get out of that a lot quicker. However, you can also do what some other YouTubers that I've seen do, where they've had these private loans with these extremely high interest rates. And what they end up doing is they get a personal loan from like a credit union that they bank at, or whatever bank that they bank at. I will always highly suggest that you go through a credit union, and they go ahead and get a personal loan for the same amount of their private loan. So they pay the private loan off with the credit union personal loan, and that personal loan has a way lower interest rate, which means that you can go ahead and get out of that debt a whole lot quicker. So yeah, I would recommend you keep your savings, honey. Okay, those student loans ain't going nowhere. I'm thinking of putting like $8K towards that. Please don't do $8K. I would do $2,000 max, because you never know what's going to happen. I don't like the movie theater. Once I saw a rat in the theater, I haven't been back for years. Listen, I understand. I don't like the movie theater because I don't like crowds anyway. So like, I don't like going to the malls and stuff. When I go grocery shopping, y'all, I go during the day when most people are supposed to be at work. So movie theaters, it's dark. I can't see who's coming in and out. I don't like that. First time I've lived with anyone other than my mama, and it's going great. That's good. Keep it up, honey. Keep it up. Brittany, I'll search for this answer. I love your videos. Thank you. Elle, please hit the thumbs up. Thanks, Elle. Shan, I'm a nurse like you. I work in med-surg, so I always had a full-time job during this entire pandemic, thank God. Listen, nursing is coming through, honey, because I can't say for sure yet, y'all, but send positive vibes through the atmosphere. I think that I just got this newest job that I applied for because, like I said earlier in the live, I did get new hire stuff sent to me earlier. And usually, even though you're going through an agency, they don't send you certain documents until you've been accepted for that job. So I think it's accepted pending, you know, me passing the drug test and the background check. And I'm so thankful for my career, because the way that everything happened last week for me, y'all, if I was in any other kind of career path, child, I'd be over here going crazy trying to figure out what I'm going to do. And that's the other thing about having savings, y'all. Like, I wasn't worried about it anyway. Pretty bad. Hey, what's new with you? Child, nothing. Living life, enjoying life. You're right. Thanks for your advice. You're welcome. Brittany, I've been looking into Ally Bank for a personal goal to save for a down payment. Any insight on savings and checking? So I have one checking. All the rest are savings. So all of my sinking funds are their own separate savings accounts. However, I believe that now you can do this thing called buckets, where you can have one savings account, but you can split it up into 7 different buckets for whatever sinking funds that you want. At the time that I started with Ally, they didn't have that. That's like a new feature within the last probably maybe 6 months. By then I had already had my separate accounts. But I always say to have a checking with them also, because it's very easy for you to have a Zelle account for your checking for Ally and a Zelle account for whatever other bank that you use. Hopefully you use a major bank so that you can have Zelle with them. And that way, like, so I think my phone number is attached to my Bank of America, and my email address is attached to my Zelle for Ally, so I can quickly transfer money back and forth whenever I need to. I'm a true clutch. Congratulations. I'm glad I became a nurse. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So let me get into some more questions for you guys. And again, if y'all have any more questions, feel free to put it up here. I'm trying not to be on here for too long, because my trading session actually just started at 5 o'clock. I don't want to miss no trades, y'all. Okay. So somebody asked me if I get benefits and how much do they cost. I go through the marketplace because the agency that I was with, unless you were full time, which I was not, you couldn't get benefits through them. So I always just went through the marketplace, and of course, it goes based off of your income, your net income. Melanie Holmes, she asked me the same thing about the GameStop stock. I did not get any, and I had no plans. So Nicole McMurray asked me, what are your plans for February as you plan to take time off from work? And did you accomplish your goal for saving for your expenses as you take time off from work? So I did achieve my goal. My goal was to save at least, I originally said $2,500, then I thought about like, okay, I have a little bit of YouTube income coming in, so I'm not worried about it. So my goal was to do $2,250 in December and January for me to pay myself for February. And I ended up meeting that goal in December. How much did I save in December? I ended up saving $2,800 in December because it was a magic month for me. So what I ended up doing was $2,250 went in my savings for me to pull out for February to pay myself. And then the rest of the like $600 ended up going into my other savings account. As far as what my plans are, the only plan that I had was to find employment elsewhere because I already was taking this month off and I had no plans to honestly go back to my job that I was at before once my break was up, because I honestly needed the break because of them, if I'm being honest. So it's like, why take a whole month off just to go back to what's driving you nuts anyway? So that was my biggest goal. And after what happened last week, it just made me stop procrastinating and just go ahead and get it done right away so that I can really enjoy the rest of my time off. The only thing that I've been doing is nothing for real. Like seriously, I've been on my video games. That's pretty much it. I do plan to start a streaming channel at some point in the future, hopefully this year. I just have to set my room up a certain way that I want it because we have a really huge basement. Our house is big, but it's not finished off, so I can't really do it down there. So I just want to set my room up a different way so that I can do that. But that's really it. I've just been enjoying my time doing absolutely nothing. I barely leave my house. I didn't leave my house that much anyway, but like literally if it's not for groceries or to go see my grandma, I don't even leave the house, y'all. Let me see. I want to start a Roth IRA this year. I have Ally now too. You're the reason I got Ally. Good. I love, love, love this channel. Thank you. Thank you so much. I do want to start a Roth IRA as well, possibly just to reduce my tax liability. However, my only issue is that one thing that I've learned from Robert Kiyosaki, if you guys have not checked out some of his books, one of my favorite is Increase Your Financial IQ. Of course, I love Rich Dad, Poor Dad. A lot of people like that. That's just to kind of get you into the mindset of the traditional way of how they tell you the American dream is. It obviously ain't a dream. That's why so many people are out here struggling. We think that we're supposed to go to work for 40 years and everything will be good. Well, back in the day, that worked when we had pensions and stuff like that. These companies ain't giving you pensions no more. Okay, unless you work for certain jobs, you don't really have that luxury. So after I started learning from him and how one of the things that really stuck out to me was that you don't want your money in a place where you can't fully control it. Okay. So he was talking about how, when you have your money in 401ks and stuff like that, a lot of times you're not controlling where that money is going because you're relying on a broker who's going to make money, whether your money goes up or down. They're going to make their broker fees. So you can't even be for sure that they care about whether you're making money or not. And the market is going to go up and down. Is it always going to recover? So far it has, but we don't know when this thing is going to stop recovering. We don't know. Okay. Now I can't say the market is rigged to continue to go up, but again, we never know when this thing is going to stop being what it is. So my biggest thing is I don't want to have so much of my money in places where I can't control it. I would much rather have it like in investments, like real estate or something where I have this money coming in every month. Will I always have a tenant in my properties? No, tenants move out. Sometimes you got to kick them out. But I would rather go like more so along the lines of those routes versus having my money just sitting in a 401k, a 403b, or a Roth IRA or whatever, because you just never know. Honestly, you don't. Let's see. KeAmber, you trade in the aftermarket. Actually, yes. I trade futures. I mainly trade gold, the S&P, the Nasdaq, the Dow, and the Russell 2000. And I actually try to not trade during the market because the market gets so erratic, especially like from the 8:30 a.m. if you're Central Standard Time, from 8:30 a.m. to about 9:30, 10 o'clock. It can be so erratic, it's ridiculous. But then it starts to get stagnant because the market makers are on lunch, and when they come back from lunch you might see like a little bit of movement between like 1:30 p.m. and about 3 p.m., but it's just kind of all over the place. So I actually prefer to trade futures in the off market. The only problem is that when you do that, you have like, so let's say I have $2,000 in my trading account and I'm looking to trade because I trade the micro. So I trade the micro Dow, which means that the cost per contract is actually it's only 10% of a full contract essentially. And that just allows you to trade with less money in futures because it takes way more money to trade in futures than it does Forex. So let's say I got $2,000 in my account and the risk on the trade that I'm looking to set up is only, let's say, a risk of $40. Well, depending on what instrument it is, even though you're only risking $40 of your 2,000, the margin in the off market or the after hours, you might actually need $1,100 in your account, or you might need $2,100 in your account, depending on what the instrument is. Even though you're only risking 40, you have to have this large amount of money because the market can kind of do crazy things in the aftermarket. It doesn't happen often, but crazy things can happen when the market is actually, open. So yeah, I prefer the aftermarket because it moves a lot more smoother and linear to me with the particular instruments that I look at. Thank you for answering my question. You're welcome. Cash Flow Quadrant by Kiyosaki is good too. Yeah, I read that one too. I really like that one. Smart. I want to get into real estate, but NY is so expensive. Honey, you don't even have to do real estate in wherever that you live. Like when I used to be a realtor, for those of y'all who don't know, I did real estate when I was in nursing school to pay my way through nursing school. And it actually, honestly, was also a way for me to get closer with my father at the time because I was trying to strengthen my relationship with him. And that's what he did. So in order for me to have something in common with him, that's what I did. The other thing was I went to a D2 school. I was supposed to go D1, but I hurt myself. And then me knowing that I wanted to go into nursing, it's very hard to do nursing school and do D1 because you travel too much. And once you get into clinical, you can't miss. They don't care that you're the star basketball player. They don't even care if you sit on the bench on the basketball team. If you have to travel for a game and you miss clinical, you can end up flunking that clinical. So I went D2. So with me doing that though, there was no like traditional job that I could actually work where I could like set my own hours and things like that. I needed to have something flexible. So real estate worked for me. And I used to have investors that lived in a totally different city and state that were investing here because St. Louis, as bad as it could be sometimes, like, with the violence and stuff like that, we're usually top 5 in murders and crimes and stuff like that. I think in 2019 we were named the most dangerous city. It's still areas where you can invest in real estate in decent areas, honestly. So you don't always have to look in the state that you're in. Let's see. Shan, I have no idea about trading. Zero. Going to research it. You should, because when you learn how to trade, and I've said it before, it's like printing money. Oh, I want to go on a trip that's going to cost me $1,000. Let me get into the market for a couple of days. And once you like build your account up, shoot, you can make $1,000 in one trade and keep it moving. Let me go ahead and withdraw that money, pay for my trip, and I'm out of here. Like for me, I've always known that once I learned about trading about 6 years ago, I knew that eventually that was going to be my way out. And that was going to be one of the only things that I could do besides YouTube. Where I would be happy long term, because as much as I love helping people, y'all, in nursing or whatever, I don't like one-on-one interaction a lot. Like, and it's so bad, I guess you could say. When I had COVID back in September, I lived with my mother and sister, and neither one of them caught it from me because I'm so to myself. I'm so isolative. So I don't want to have to rely on a job where I have to interact with people the whole time. Like, that's why I don't work full time. I literally can't. I'm a Cancer, y'all. I'm very loving, very nurturing, very caring, and I'm very energy sensitive. So having to be around so many energies, especially in psych, y'all, like My job was not hard physically, but mentally and emotionally, it was difficult because I'm so energy sensitive. I'm literally around energy draining people from administration down to the patients. So for me, trading is going to be my way out. And eventually, once I have everything set in stone and I have the funding and stuff, like I could put out videos right now teaching you guys the basics, but I already have how I want to do it. There's a certain way that I'm going to do it. I'm going to create a whole community on my website that's specific for that. So I have the finance in one area, which I need to start putting more stuff in, and then I'll have the trading in one area. I'll teach y'all the basics for free. You can't learn everything for free, y'all. That's just how it is. I've paid thousands of dollars to try to learn this and didn't learn nothing. So I want to make sure that when I come to y'all correct. I come to y'all with everything that you need to be successful, because my only goal is to help as many people as I can. Literally, that's it. That's all I care about. If I help to change one person's family because they no longer have to rely on a job that they have to go to 40 hours a week, taking time away from their kids, their family, if I help one person, my job is done. I can die knowing that I helped one person. That's why I do YouTube videos for budgeting, because I know how important finance is for people just in general, but for families as well. It's so important, and that's why I do it. That's why I do it. So yeah, trading is going to be it for me, y'all. I ain't got to talk to nobody. Like in network marketing, I had teams of hundreds of people. I think the most I've ever had was 1,500 people on my team. I helped start a company. I did all of that stuff. And guess what? I was depressed because it was too much one-on-one. Too many people having my phone number and calling me and stuff. Trading is me, my laptop, and my charts, and that's it. That's it. That's all I care about, for real. Let's see. Let me go back. The control of the 401k. My former employer tried to manipulate folks to getting an annuity at retirement as opposed to a rollover IRA. Exactly. Listen, don't let these people control your money. I'm telling you. L, how about REITs? Honestly, I don't know very much about it, so I can't even tell you, but I will research it and I'll let you know in the future. Let's see. For some reason, I thought you were in Atlanta. Nope, I've never lived in Atlanta. I used to live in Athens, Georgia, though. This was when I first became a nurse almost, what is it? It was actually 9 years ago that I lived there. Can you mentor me on trading? Do you provide mentoring/coaching? If so, how much do you charge? I'm over nursing too. I'm not mentoring yet, but I promise it's coming. My friend actually does have a brand new course, and it's on Futures though. And I will leave the information down in the description box once I get it from him. He just came out with it. And he knows what he's doing, y'all. He already is helping people make money. This one guy who's brand new to trading just purchased his course, and he made like $250 the other day, and I think like $150 a couple of days prior to that. So you're able to make money with it. I don't trade the way that he does though, because I don't like trading during the market, but I am going to purchase his course and you know, support my friend and possibly go ahead and trade his way during the market hours, because I don't like my particular strategy when it's in the market hours. So if I don't leave it in the description box, I will make an announcement about it sometime in the near future. He knows what he's doing. He's somebody that I've traded with in this whole 6 years that I've been trading off and on. KeAmber, futures and Forex seem hard to understand. It's only hard to understand when you don't learn from the right people. And that's why, like, I try to break things down to where the simplest person, or to the simplest term, so that it's very easy for anybody to understand. And my friend does it the same way. I just want to go through the course myself to make sure, but I know I can vet him. But it's not difficult. It's really buy, sell. The only thing that's hard to know is what it's going to do, but you can't always predict, because again, no strategy is 100%. Cancer gang, yes, ma'am. What trading platform do you use? For day trading, I use NinjaTrader 8, and that's it. Yeah, NinjaTrader 8. That's it. Jess, I can't wait. I know. I'm studying options right now. Options is good. I used to do options through Nadex at one point. This was years ago. Let me tell y'all, I used to get so pissed off because, so the way that options work, for those of you guys who don't know, so let's say a price is at $200 and you're saying, hey, in 1 hour, I think the price is going to be above $200. If it's below $200, you end up losing that money. So let's say the option contract is $50. You're risking $50 to say that in 1 hour or sometime in that hour, or Yeah, when the contract closes in an hour, I think the price is going to be over $200. It could be $200.01. As long as it's over $200, you win. There were so many times, y'all, where the price was literally at my contract price or 1 cent below or one tick below. So, or above, depending on if I'm buying or selling. And I'm like, I really just lost that money for one little micro movement in the market. Can't do it. I'm going to wait for your trading course because I want to support you. You deserve it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. But yeah, I'm going to give you guys information on my friend's course in the future. I promise y'all, because I know he's about his business. Let's see. Marquise Ruiz, I think is how you pronounce it, said, hey, first off, thank you for making videos. You're welcome. We are very similar from our personalities and interests. I'm currently in the process of turning my life around with saving, education, building credit, and job changes. I want to get out of my apartment and find a house. My question is, should I bother with renting, or should I find a rent to own, or should I stay in an apartment until I can buy a house? Thank you again. I, as a previous realtor, do not recommend people doing rent to own. I don't. Because rent to own to me is almost like leasing a vehicle. You're leasing it, and usually with vehicles you're giving it back, but sometimes you can purchase the car after you've leased it for an amount of time. Or let's just say a phone. These companies still lease phones. At the end of that lease, when you lease a phone, whatever you have to pay to buy out that contract to now own the phone, you usually pay more than if you would have just bought it outright, right? So with rent to own properties, a lot of times you're renting to own because you can't qualify for a loan yourself through a mortgage company. So you're hoping that you can rent from the owner in hopes that either the owner will finance it at some point, or you'll be able to take over their particular mortgage, or you're hoping that after you've rented it for a certain period of time that you're able to qualify for the mortgage on your own through a mortgage company. I just don't like rent to own, honestly, because the few times that I've dealt with rent to own, or like had clients who were coming out of rent to own type of things, it just didn't end up working out. It usually doesn't, honestly. I feel like if you can't qualify for a home right now, don't get in one unless you're renting. As far as whether you should stay in an apartment or rent a house, that's all like subjective, I guess. Like it depends on where you are. If you can find a home or like a condo or something to rent from a private owner and it's cheaper than you renting from like an actual apartment complex, do that. That's really up to you. It doesn't really matter. But just figure out, like, you can always call a couple of mortgage companies. I wouldn't call too many because when they pull your credit, it does dock you most of the time because it ends up being a hard inquiry. But you can always try to get pre-approved through a mortgage company. And if you don't get approved, they'll always tell you why you're not approved. I remember, like, this was probably 7 years ago, I think. Yeah, about 7 years ago, I tried to go through the process of getting a property. And at the time, I was full-time in network marketing. The reason why I don't have a house, besides the things that I talked about earlier in this live, is because in order for me to qualify for a property right now, because even though you guys see what my income is on YouTube, that's not my bottom line when it comes to me paying or going through taxes with the IRS. Because I have YouTube as well as other 1099 sources of income. What happens with those particular businesses are you have up to like 450 tax deductions, which is why a lot of people should have small businesses. Even if it's something that you don't make a whole lot of money from, it's the intent that means anything when it comes to the IRS, right? So in doing that, it causes my income to look like barely anything. So at the time, I had made like over $100,000 in network marketing that particular year. But because of all my tax write-offs, because I'm the type of person, if you tell me I can write it off and it's legal, I'm writing it off. Because why would I sit here and pay you $20,000 in taxes as my tax bill if I could just pay you $2,000 because you're allowing me to write all these things off, right? And that wasn't my scenario. I'm just giving numbers. So because of that, when I try to get a property through a mortgage, get a mortgage loan, they say, oh, we know that your gross income was this, But after you've written off all of these things, you look like this. So we go based off of this number. It don't matter that I have almost probably, I probably cash liquid, like have over $70,000 that I can liquidate right now, right? They don't care about that. And I was trying to get qualified for a $26,000 property, y'all. $26,000 property. I think at the time I might have only had maybe like $7,000 in savings, but still, I was making a lot of money in network marketing, and I cannot qualify for a $26,000 property because of the way that I do my taxes, which means the only way that I can qualify for a property at this point is to stop writing off so much. But then it's like a lose-lose for me, because I stopped writing off so much, which means I'm going to have a huge tax bill, but then I also have to have money as a down payment for the property. I'm out money. You know what I'm saying? So I wish that mortgage companies would look at that a whole lot different than they do, but they don't. So for me, it's just like, whatever. So yeah, just stay in your apartment, or you can again get a condo, a house, rent out one of those type of properties from a private owner until you can qualify for a mortgage. Go through a mortgage company. They'll tell you what you need. For me, I got to stop writing off so much on my taxes. I ain't doing that right now. So I just still can't qualify for now. Especially not for the type of property that I want. Let's see, MJ Spine. Before I go through these, let me see. I'm studying options as well. Donna Paula says, how do you feel about paying off student loan debt with the current Biden administration promise proposal? Honestly, this student loan forgiveness is getting on my damn nerves, because it's like, what about all of this and spend all this dang on money paying our stuff off? Everybody should have to pay it off. But I do understand why they're doing it. It's way too much student loan debt out here, especially with these private companies that take advantage of 18-year-olds who have no idea what debt really is and how debt payoff really happens. I still think that you should pay your debts off. It's just like people who try to wait on student loan forgiveness because they like work in certain sectors where their loans are forgiven after like 10 years of working in that sector or whatever. Like, you're still not guaranteed to get your student loans forgiven just because you've been in that sector for 10 years. So you should still do what you're supposed to do, because if you sit there and you waiting on Biden or whoever's coming after him or whoever was before him, if you were waiting on those people, you see it still ain't been done. And they've always used that as a gimmick to get people to vote for them. So who knows? I would say continue to pay on your student loan, because at the end of the day, whether he forgives it or you pay it off yourself, it's still going to be gone. I mean, yeah, you might have more money in your pocket if it's forgiven instead, but I mean, I just feel like you incurred the debt, pay it. It's just how I feel. Agree. No rent to own is borderline predatory. Absolutely. I don't like rent to own housing. I know somebody that lost $6,000 because they couldn't qualify for the loan. Exactly. Hey, love myself. Yep. Are you going back to your 9 to 5? Not the job that I've had that I talked about on my channel. No, I no longer work for that particular place as of last week, and a story time will be coming in the future. I don't think they're going to do the loan forgiveness. I don't think so either. I'm going to pay mine off. You should. Christina Davis. Hi, KeAmber. Will you please talk a little more about pensions? Would you stay at a job for the sake of having a pension if you vest in a few years, but eventually want to move out of state? This is a question I've gotten from people at my previous job, actually. So at my previous job, not the way that I was employed, the people who are employed directly through them. It's a government facility, and a lot of people stay there for the pension part of it, right? What's up, Mac? I'm going to be on later on tonight, I promise. I just got to do this stuff for my new job. Mac, y'all, is one of my Xbox friends that I play with practically every night. So about pensions, I personally feel like the way things are nowadays, and even in the past, pensions were a whole lot better than what companies offer right now. This is why my grandma was able to retire early. My grandpa was able to retire early, and they lived life just fine. My grandma is still just fine almost 20 years after she retired. However, staying at a company just for the pension, to me, is not worth it. If you stay long enough to be vested, which I think in my previous job, you only had to do 5 years to be vested, that's one thing. But staying there for a long time just for the pension is not worth it, because let me tell you something. a lot of companies nowadays, they get you on the back end of that vested pension thing, and they paying you less on up front. So why sit here and work a job? Let's say at my previous job, right? Let's say you're a nurse making, before the pandemic, $28 an hour, but they getting you with this vested pension thing. But you can go work pretty much the same job outside of a government facility. You would be in a different, like in a hospital, so more of like a private type of job or whatever. But if you could move somewhere else and make $40 an hour and still, make enough money to put towards your 401k and other investments and stuff like that, why would you stay making $28 an hour for some good pension? Okay, you retire at 65, you drop dead a week later. Was it worth staying there just to be vested and have a pension? No. Was it worth struggling on $28 an hour to hopefully have this pension invested money at 65? Was it worth it when you could have had that money up front and not be struggling making $28 an hour? Not saying that anybody at my job is struggling making $28 an hour. I'm just saying for the sake of like argument. To me, having the upfront money right now means a whole lot more than me having the money when I'm 65 and older. I'd rather have that money now, whether I want to save it, put it towards extra debt payments, travel with it, buy my children something, buy my mama something. I'd rather have that money right now because I don't know what's going to happen in the future. What if something happens to me before I'm even able to retire? Was it worth it? It wasn't worth it. If you can make more money somewhere else and still be able to put money into your retirement fund yourself, do that. It's well worth it. Trust me. Donnie Paula, I've been knocking down my student loan debt loan by loan. Good. You got to do that. I'm telling you, do it. You will feel so much better. Let me tell y'all, my first month being debt free, I felt so weird. First of all, I never had a whole lot like a different listed debts. I just had larger debts in different areas. That first month, I didn't just have to pay a car note. Forget all the other debts, because at the highest time of me having a bunch of debts, I owed over $800 a month in debt bills. $800. So then you got to remember that while I'm getting out of debt, not only am I paying my regular minimums of $800 a month, I'm also putting extra money on top of that towards that, right? So I'm probably spending $1,200, $1,400 a month or more on debt payments. That first month, that money didn't have to go there. That's what people ask me all the time. How come you don't work full time? I think even somebody left a comment on one of my videos saying, so you're just being lazy and using your mom because you're not working full time. Let me tell you something. If I don't have to work full time, why would I? Why am I going to spend all of this time in somebody else's establishment if I don't have to? Not everybody is money driven. I operate just fine working my 25 hours a week, and that's what I like to do. It keeps me sane mentally. And at the end of the day, if I'm just going to save the money, I've already saved a lot of money for a rainy day. What do I need to go to my job and be pissed off for just for the sake of having extra money? For what? I'm not using and abusing my mother. I'm not taking advantage of her. This is how I want to do it. I don't want to work full time. Don't have to. I don't have to. Let me see. I vested into 3 different nursing jobs. Be prepared to feel like your soul is dying. Yes, literally. Literally, people feel like that. Like, there's so many people at my previous job that look up to me because I speak up for myself. And I'm not worried about staying in one place. I became a nurse for the right reasons, to help people. However, the benefits of the job and being able to just go wherever you want to, I could take a travel assignment and start next week if I wanted to. Do I want to? Absolutely not. But why do I need to sit and dwell in a workplace that's toxic as hell, which is what my old job was? It just is what it is. I don't need to dwell in a toxic environment. That's not me. I'm the type of person, if any person, place, or thing is draining my energy and it's toxic, I walk away. Ain't no amount of money you could put in front of me to make me stay somewhere that I don't want to be. That's just me. A lot of people are afraid to move, afraid to do things. Why? This is your life. You only have one for all that we know. Why would you spend it doing something you don't want to do? What? Go do something else. Seriously. Christina, that makes perfect sense. Thank you so much for answering my question. You're welcome. Shan, once I get out of debt, my boyfriend and mama know I'm going part-time as soon as I'm debt free. Absolutely. If it don't take you a whole lot of money to live. Now, if you somebody who like to shop, do X, Y, Z, listen, you might need to make a little bit extra money. But I'm not that person. I've never been that person. Even as a kid, I don't care about new clothes, new shoes. If I need it, I'll buy it. But I'm not buying a new Jordan just because they come out. I'm not buying $100 jeans. Let me tell y'all, this shirt, now my mama got it for me. This shirt was probably like $4. The jeans I got on was probably like $10. They real cute too. I don't care about spending a whole lot of money for what? That means I got to work more. Because in my mind, the way that I think, when I look at something, let's say this bottle of water was something that I wanted in the store. How many hours do I have to work to purchase this? 4? Nah, that wasn't worth my time. That's literally how I live my life. And that's why I'm able to save so much money. I don't spend money unnecessarily for what? Sometimes I do just because I want to. But when you live your life that way, that means you got to work more hours to take up for that. I don't have that problem. That's why I continue to work part-time. And y'all can't judge her because y'all don't know how stressful nursing is unless you're a nurse. Absolutely. Nursing is stressful. I don't care how, even if the actual physical labor ain't stressful, usually administration is. You're my sister in my head, for real, for real. Listen, I love y'all. I do, for real. People probably be looking at my channel sometimes like, that girl is batshit crazy, but I be making sense though, I promise. All right, let's see. Moving on to the next question. Again, if y'all have more questions, leave it in here. Time is it 5:30? Y'all got me on here. So next is from MJ Spine. He asked what, or I don't know if it's a girl or a guy, so I'm sorry if you are a girl because it looks like it's a baby. That's the icon. Scariest patient encounter. I love your stories. Does your sister also work as a nurse? So I'm going to answer the thing about my sister, and then we'll go to the scariest patient encounter. I love you too, Jess. So my sister does not work as a nurse currently. She went to school for early education, if I'm not mistaken. I told her from the beginning, KeAmber, that's my sister's name, get your nursing degree. She loves helping people. It fulfills her. Go get your nursing degree. However, because my sister liked kids, she thought she wanted to go into early childhood education. My sister loves kids, but not from a teaching aspect. And I told her that. When I used to babysit since I was 10 years old. I used to babysit newborns all the way up until, so the youngest kid or the oldest kid that I used to babysit is now, 20 years old. It still blows my mind. But anyway, when I used to babysit, I used to do all the feeding them, bathing them, changing diapers. My sister, she just wanted to play with them and give them back. Hey, here. So for me, I'm like, yeah, I know you love kids, but not from that aspect. I don't think you want to do that. So she had got a job at a daycare. Eventually, she didn't like that. And she had got sick at some point. And then eventually she was just like, no. So she went into other areas that had nothing to do with her degree. And she did her prereqs for nursing school, I think, a couple of times. Like, she would start and stop. I don't think this is for me. So she just literally finished her last prereq for nursing school. She finished it in maybe October or November, if I'm not mistaken. No, early December. So she is just waiting to be accepted to the program that I completed almost 10 years ago. It'll be 10 years in December. So she's hoping to start the program in August. So y'all send her positive vibes because she's going for it. I think she wants to do labor and delivery, which I think would be very good for her, because she used to say that she wanted to do NICU because she was born premature. So she had to spend, I think, 2 months in the NICU herself. So she's always kind of had that thing. But I told her that NICU might not be good for her personality because she's not as much of an empath as I am. But I just told her I don't know if she would like seeing babies like that, in that kind of dire need. Not every kid that's in the NICU is in dire need, but you guys know what I'm talking about. So I think mother baby labor and delivery would be really good for her, and that's what she's going for. Yeah. So the other part of the question was the scariest patient encounter. Honestly, y'all, I haven't had scary encounters for real. I put on my channel the one time that the younger individual called me the N word. That was only scary internally because like for a half a second I forgot I was at work. Like I was in the med room, and when they did it, I literally like got up and started walking. I was like, dang, it's a med window in front of me. I'm at work right now. I got to calm down. But that wasn't like really scary though. Most of the times where our patients at that job attacked someone, I wasn't there. Thank goodness. Yeah, I didn't really have I can say this. So when I first started working at that job, there was this particular client on a particular ward that I was like, y'all, afraid of, for real. He's like the only person that I was ever afraid of at any point in time. And the only reason was because he was so aggressively like sexually inappropriate, and he was like sexually aggressive. Thankfully, usually he was black, but he was like aggressive like that towards white women. I don't really understand why. But eventually when like that job, most of the employees are black though. So eventually when it wasn't enough of them for him to look at, he started kind of being aggressive towards us. He was so aggressive, y'all, that he used to get birth control shots. Okay. Because his testosterone levels, they felt like were, maybe they're just too high. So we need to like try to calm this down with estrogen or something. He was the only person I was like kind of afraid of when I first got there because of how sexually aggressive he was. But outside of him, I would say that's it, honestly. Even when I did my travel assignments, there was no really scary encounters. Like, I think when I was in Springfield, I did have one patient that was in the acute unit. She wasn't mine, but she was just kind of like, she was just doing too much. And I knew it was all behavioral, honestly, but she seemed like she wanted to attack people. And she was like tall and like thick, y'all. Like, and I was just like, man, if she hit one of y'all out for the count. But I kind of know how to communicate and interact. Not all the time will your communication de-escalate someone, but thankfully my tactics have pretty much worked. I can say the one time, and I think I did a story time about this, one of my patients in Springfield, she grabbed scissors out of my workstation on wheels. And yeah, that was only scary for a half a second because I'm like, if she's able to stab somebody, this is going to be bad. But I knew that she wasn't doing it. She was just doing that crap to get attention. Like, and I was pissed off because she was on a 1-to-1. So I'm like, whoever is watching her, how are you at least shoulder length apart from her and you allow her to come around my workstation, get into my drawer because I was doing something over here. And because I'm so tall, I have to have the workstation super high, and she was very short. So it was very easy for me to not see her. And she came around and quickly opened the drawer and grabbed the scissors. And I'm like, how you were 1-to-1? How y'all even let her do this? So for a half a second, that was kind of scary because I'm like, she could stab me or anybody else, but I wasn't worried about her doing it though. She may be good at nannying. My sister would be good at nannying, but she wouldn't make enough money doing it here. Now, if she nanny for some celebrities or something, yeah, girl, go make your money. But even then, I don't think she would be good at nannying because she don't want to change no diapers and teach nobody nothing. She just want to play with them. But yeah, I would say those are my few scary patient encounters. But outside of that, I haven't really dealt with anything like that. We did have this one chick, I think this was in California. She was so high off drugs. I think this was her first time, and I think somebody laced something of hers, if I'm not mistaken. And y'all, she was in a room by herself, and she would literally open up the door and just start screaming her head off, and then just go back in. That was the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life. That was kind of scary only because it's like, this isn't a drug that she's used to doing. Like, somebody who's really high off of something that they're used to doing, they're not going to act like that. But because it was laced and that was something that she wasn't used to, it was kind of scary because you didn't know what her reactions were going to be. But thankfully, she didn't attack anybody, though. No more questions? All right. So another question that I got on YouTube, and I think this is my last one unless you guys have any more questions. Victoria asks, what prompted you to start a budget in the first place, and why did you decide to make a YouTube channel? Sis, that lipstick. I don't even remember what lipstick I was wearing, but thank you. So what prompted me to start a budget? Good question. Oh, so the company that I used to be a part of that I actually helped to start in the network marketing industry, the credit company that was affiliated with us, they actually had a budgeting tool and a debt elimination software that was a part of the package that we had in the company. So once I got to the point where I realized, like, yo, I'm like, I think the highest I was in debt was like 40,000 or something. And like I told y'all, my debt bills was $800 a month. And I was just like, all right, now something's got to give. I'm making a lot of money, but I'm not able to show it because of how much debt that I have. And I was just like, okay, well, I know in order for me to make this work, I'm going to have to budget my money. And mind you guys, my mother is a senior accountant. So this is all she does is work with numbers and Fortune 500 company budgets. Okay. So I was like, all right, I'm going to have to start a budget. So originally I used to do it electronically, and I had the thing linked to my account. It would tell me when I'm overspending in certain areas, blah, blah, blah. I also had the debt elimination software to tell me like, okay, this is your plan. So it will list out all of my debts and say, okay, in this month you're paying this, and this towards this, that, this towards this, that. And it had like this little calendar thing where it showed me like how long it would take me to get out of debt. I forget how many years it told me, but it was a long time. So I would start it and stop it because I felt like I was putting way too much money towards my debt when I only had this little bit amount in savings, because I used to go based off of the $1,000 in savings thing. So I would start it, then I would, hey, I just put $600 towards this debt this month, but I got $1,000 in my savings, so it didn't feel right. So I'm like, nah, let me just save a little bit more money. Then I start again. So eventually I started looking on YouTube for budgeting stuff, came across Dave Ramsey. Wasn't really keen on the whole every dollar budget, let me make this clear. The every dollar budget is not a problem to me. It's not. Because your every dollar of yours should have a name. And in order for you to know where your money's going, that's the way to do it. So I started budgeting because I knew I wanted to get out of debt, but I also was like, damn, I'm making all this money. Where the hell is my money going? So I'm like, the only way for me to know exactly where my money is going, besides going through my last 12 months of bank statements, is to literally do a budget so I can know where my money is going every single time it's leaving my account. So I started doing it that way, but electronically just does not work for me. Did the researching, found Dave Ramsey, didn't really like his plan. I think there was one other one that I looked at and I was like, ew, I don't like this one either. So I just started doing things on my own. I was like, all right, well, my logic was, I know I don't have money to put off over here until I pay for my bills anyway. So that's how I came up with my method. After I pay my bills, I know all of that money has to be segmented towards having variable expense money or spending money, savings money, and extra debt payment. That's how I came up with it. I started the YouTube channel because when I was looking on YouTube at that time, it was a lot of YouTubers doing budgets that did not look like me. And for me, representation means everything. I feel like one of the reasons why we fail as a community, as a Black community, when it comes to finance, I can make a whole video about this, besides the fact that a lot of times we start off wrong. We get put out the house at 18 years old. Our credit is jacked up because our parents put bills in our name and they didn't pay them. Outside of that, a lot of times we don't even know how to manage the money that we have coming in. We don't even know where our money is going. You got people making $11 an hour wearing $100 jeans all the time. That's a problem if that's what you want to do, but it doesn't make sense financially. Okay. So I said, well, in order for me to reach a large audience, I can't just teach the people that I know right here. I have to be able to reach a vast majority of people by using online. Right. And so by doing that, I told myself I would just do the YouTube channel, and it will also be a win-win for me because I would be able to hold myself accountable. I am a procrastinator by nature. I get things done, but I procrastinate in doing it. So for me, writing the budget on paper versus electronic and holding myself accountable by putting the information out there, I was never worried about anybody seeing my finances. It is what it is. How can I teach people, but I ain't showing that I'm practicing what I preach? So that's why I started the YouTube channel. I also wasn't afraid of doing it because I had a YouTube channel way back before you could even get paid on YouTube. I used to have a natural hair channel. And I think I had like 3,000 subscribers. I used to get a lot of, decent views, especially for back then, but I just didn't feel like doing it anymore. Honestly, that takes a lot of editing and stuff like that. And back then we didn't have the easy editing software that we have now. And then this channel, actually, I used to put videos for, my headphones are dying. So if y'all stop hearing me, please let me know in the chat so that I can try to change the settings of the audio. But, I used to do network marketing tips and tricks and story times on this channel as well, which I think my highest viewed video was like over 45,000 views. And, so I had an audience already. I'd never monetized my channel, even though I could have. So I was already like used to YouTube. It's just I had to switch what I was doing basically. So I think I started off at maybe like 1,500 subscribers or something when I first started switched over to budgeting. So that's why I started the YouTube channel, for accountability and also to reach more people, and actually also show people that you don't have to do things the way that everybody else is budgeting. You ain't got to do it that way. If it don't work for you, don't force yourself into doing it. I don't think that my method will work for literally every single person. I don't expect everybody to like my method and use my method. However, I do want to put that out there just as another option for people. If you've already exhausted the other options or looked at something and said, I know that ain't gonna work for me, let me look to see if something else is out there. And that's why I put my information out there. Deb, I am graduating in May and hope to land a job in behavioral health. Do you think it's a bad idea to start off in behavioral health and not a med search for? Also, what tips do you have for a new nurse in behavioral health? Honey, did you miss my last video? I don't know if it was the last one. I just put a video out within the last week on my top 10 tips for anybody that is brand new to psych nursing or behavioral health. It's the same thing. Please check that video out. It's a lot of good tips in there. I also have other videos. I have one video where I actually compare and contrast med search to psych nursing. Check out that video. I should have a playlist called My RN Journey or My Nursing Journey. There's quite a few videos in there about psych nursing. I got some story times and everything. As far as, do I think it's a bad idea to start off in behavioral health? What I can say is, if you absolutely know that behavioral health or psych is what you want to do, go into it. Do not waste a year in med surg just for you to be unhappy to go to do what you want to do, okay? The only reason they tell you to start off in med surg before you do anything else is because usually in most other areas of nursing, you need that med surg background and experience to be able to do your job very well in other areas. In behavioral health and psych, you don't need to know medical. Like, I haven't started an IV ever. Even when I did travel nursing, if you had to have an IV, you could not be on our floor in the hospital, right? So I lost the majority of my medical skills. Now, I still know how to do simple things like putting in a catheter, even though I haven't had to in almost, 9 years. So there's certain things I still remember how to do, but I haven't had to put it into practice. So that's why they tell you don't go into psych right away. But if you know that that's what you want to do, shall do it. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your time. Med surg made me quit nursing for 3 years. I was in neuro/med surg and it made me quit nursing for 3 years, honey. Okay. I knew I didn't want to do neuro, but I did it because I knew it was med surg overflow and I knew that I would get the experience that I needed to move on elsewhere. And I absolutely hated it. Do I regret it? No, but it was a waste of my time because I use none of that now, none of it. And I've been in psych now for 4 years. KM Forward, your method made so much more sense to me. I never feel secure with $1,000. Now I don't feel bad sending money to debt, nor guilty about sending funds to saving. Thanks again. You're welcome. And you are also welcome, Ms. Deb. Oh, thank you. Thank you. So yeah, you guys, if you guys don't have any more questions, I'll wait for like 30 more seconds, 45 more seconds, a little bit longer because I know it's a slight lag. But if you guys have any more questions, feel free to ask them. Otherwise, I'm going to get off of here. And I really hope y'all enjoyed the stream, the live chat and everything. And I don't mind doing these in the future, probably like every couple months, just to update y'all on certain things and also for you guys to be able to ask questions. So if y'all have any additional questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section of this video and I'll try to answer them for y'all. Again, I'm always behind on comments, y'all, because I just don't be feeling like it. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. But I don't ever want y'all to think that I don't want to interact with y'all, because that's not the thing. Most of y'all comments I at least read, but sometimes it's difficult to do it through the YouTube app on my phone. You get to pushing buttons, you're trying to type everything out. I would rather do it on the computer, but I don't ever get on my computer for YouTube. So that's that. But I hope y'all enjoyed it, and I hope y'all enjoy y'all upcoming weekend. Again, if y'all have questions, leave them down below, but I will see y'all in the next video. Peace out, y'all. Bye. Have a good night.